Hello, and welcome to Tuesday Talks with Mom. I'm Tara Myers, and I am so glad you're here. As part of Moms on a Mission, we're empowering moms across the country to stand up and advocate for their children's educational freedom. As a mom of an adult son with Down syndrome, I've walked this road, navigating the school system and fighting for the right to choose the best education for my child. And now I'm here to share that journey with you. Every 2 weeks, we'll sit down with different moms from around the country and provide thoughtful advice and share our experiences. Together, we're building a community of moms who are finding their voices, taking action, and making a difference. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with Mom. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I have a special guest that I'm very excited about, Dr. Troy Monroe, who is a native of Hartford, Connecticut. And I am so excited to hear his story and for him to share his story with you. And this is a special episode of Tuesday Talks with Mom because we have a dad on, because Father's Day is coming up and we want to make sure to celebrate those very important anchors in our family. So, without delay, welcome, Dr. Monroe.
Thank you, Tara. I really appreciate this opportunity to be here with you and on Moms with a Mission. I'm so honored to be a father on this episode. Thank you very much.
I love it. Thank you. Well, let's get right to it. I would love for you to just walk us through your journey in education from the very beginning to where you're at now, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I have to first acknowledge that I am a graduate of Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, which is one of our historically Black colleges and university.
Love it.
And I graduated in 4 years with a BS degree in middle school science education. From there, I moved, went forward, and I began my career, a long career, I would say, at this point in education. I served as a teacher for a little over 6 years, maybe approximately 6.5 years. From there, I became an instructional support administrator and then an assistant principal for
Mm.
approximately 6 years over two different districts, beginning the administrative leadership position in Newport News, Virginia, and then later moving back to my home of Hartford, Connecticut, and beginning an administrative career in West Hartford, Connecticut, as an assistant principal. I later became a principal, and I served in that role for approximately 10 years across two different districts here in Connecticut, two traditional public schools, before I decided that I was ready to move forward and progress and grow in a leadership capacity. And I should also note that as I was progressing and thinking that I'm ready for this next leadership challenge, completed my doctoral studies, having started them at the College of William and Mary in Virginia, but finishing them at CCSU, Central Connecticut State University in Connecticut, New Britain, Connecticut. I decided that I wanted to become a superintendent. And so I landed a position after the principalship of approximately 10 years as director of teaching, learning, and equity. And I did that position for approximately 1 year prior to moving over to the world of charter schools. Didn't know much about charter schools. A very interesting experience for me making that transition. But I did transition from the traditional school setting and the director of teaching, learning, equity role to becoming an academic director. And after a short stint in that position, I then became the executive director of Jumoke Academy Charter School here in Hartford, Connecticut, for several years, approximately six, before transitioning to the CEO and superintendent's role, where I currently serve here in the city of Hartford, Connecticut. So that's a quick overview of my background, my education, and I must also note that I also have a master's degree from Norfolk State University, another historically Black college and university.
Wow, that is impressive. And yet you still have time for fatherhood, which
I do.
is amazing. That is really great. Well, I tell you what, I can't wait to get into this because you have seen education from every corner, wouldn't you say? Pretty much.
I I would say from every corner, from the corners in my home to the
Yep.
corners in the buildings that I have worked in over the years. Absolutely.
Wow, that's great. Well, why do you think it's important for students to see fathers, especially involved emotionally, available, and engaged in the school?
Well, first, I think I must acknowledge, I am married as well, and my wife and I have 3 children, and my wife and I both are educators.
Oh, great.
And so it's been an interesting perspective for me as a father of 3
Okay.
and also an educator. And so I think first and foremost, we have to understand and remember that our children, they watch you. They see everything that you do, whether they're in your home or for me from from a professional perspective in our buildings, in our schools. They see everything we do, they absorb. They make their own rationalizations about what's right and what's wrong, how they should act, how they should perform, how they should carry themselves, how they should conduct themselves. And so,
Yes.
as a father and as a man, as a male in education, and there are very few of us in this business, we have an important role to play. Um, Role models, we hear a lot of talk about role models today. Some people welcome and accept being a role model, some people do not. But I do think that it's important for us to understand that there are not many of us in these spaces, whether it
Right.
be fathers in the home, fathers in the workplace, men in the home, men in the workplace. And
Yes.
so when we are out there, we have a mantle to carry, okay?
Yes.
And we must not take that lightly, okay? Our children need to see appropriate role models in
Yes.
the home and in education. So that would be my response to that particular question.
I agree. And I think that's so important. And I think some of our young folks, a lot of them are missing that. And it's so refreshing for me to hear from a male role model, actually, who's been in all of these spaces, who has children, to stand up and say that. I think a lot of folks need to hear that. And a lot of dads need to hear that too. It's okay to say, you need to be present, you need to be there, the kids need you. So I really appreciate that. Could you share with me a little bit about what's been some of the most difficult moments in balancing both fatherhood and education? Because I imagine that's the case.
It is. I was reflecting on that for a short moment here, and I would say just trying to balance work
Hmm.
and home, just like a mother. We have the
Yes.
same issues, the same
Yeah.
concerns. We want to be there for our children, for our spouses. We want to be there to help with the workload. My wife may see it a little differently, but my heart is always there. I want to be there to help out, right? And carry my weight, do my part. But I also understand that I have an incredible responsibility at work,
Yes.
not just as a father, as a male in education, but as an educator, right?
Yes.
Um, it is something that I do not take lightly, and we should not take these responsibilities lightly. It
Agree.
is a responsibility
It
that
is.
we have to children in our community, children that we serve, to the children in our homes. Okay,
Yeah.
we must be responsible.
Yes.
I think that is something that we sometimes miss the opportunity to say regularly. We miss those opportunities to be responsible, and you have to be strategically focused on
Yes.
being responsible. I do not take lightly what I do in the home. I do not take lightly what I do in the workplace. Very important.
Yes, I would agree with you. I only taught for just a few short years when I helped to develop the special needs program at the private school here in an effort to help my son. And both of my daughters were at that school as well as my son. And I'll tell you, it was like balancing a 1 by 6 with bricks on both ends because if the children were coming to my home, I had to make sure that game was on, if they were bringing their friends, while my children were here and then they're in the school as well. It was a constant balancing to make sure that we were being responsible and that I did a lot of chapels there and I was very transparent with the students and the students knew that they could trust me
Yes.
and that if I said it, I meant it. And then my children were able to back that up. And that was a large responsibility, but I think it's one that educators can't take lightly. And parents should be on the game all the time. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate that hearing from you, similar perspectives on that. Um, One of the other questions was, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave, not only as an educator, but also as a father?
I think one of the things that I reflect on often as a father is, what will the history books say about me?
Yeah.
What will be said at my funeral? How would my family remember me? How would my children tell their children about their grandfather, what he stood for? Okay, what was the impact that he had? What was the impact that he had in education?
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important things that I want to be known as, beyond being a father and an outstanding educator, is that he was a leader. I am a leader. He was a leader in his community. He was a leader in the home. Um, when he said something, if he said he was going to do something, he did it. He followed through. He was an example. I talked about being a role model. He modeled for us. He was in the community. We saw him. We saw him at night when he came home. We saw him in the morning when he went to work. We saw Mr. Monroe or Dr. Monroe in the hallways or walking around the district. He was my first teacher. He's the first male teacher that I had. He was the
Yeah.
first administrator man that I've had in my school. And so these are all things that spoke to me, and they spoke to me over the years, and they speak to me now, because these are some of the feedback points that I have received from children over the years, not only my own children in my home, but kids that I've worked with in schools. I can remember one day being on cafeteria duty in one of the first middle schools that I was a principal, and the person said, "Hey, you know what? You're the first man that I've had, in education. As a matter of fact, you're also the first African American man that I've seen in education, and here in Connecticut." And so then I started thinking about, man, legacy.
Yes.
You are leaving a legacy, and so depending on how you conduct yourself, how you carry yourself, people are going to think about others that look like you based on how you conduct yourself. So then that forces me to make sure that I am being thoughtful about how I present, both not only at home, but out in the public, in school, out in the community. That's what we need to remember as fathers. That's what we need to remember as educators. That's what we need to remember as leaders.
That's just remarkable. You said several things in there that made me think of my own husband. Over the years, he's told the children as they're searching, to acquire their education and then ultimately moving into a career. He said, that's all great, and that's the goal, is to be well-educated citizens, but your final goal should be, what do you want people to remember about you and say about you? Do you want them to say that you have all the money you could possibly acquire? Do you want them to say you were a good person and that you helped others and that you modeled, and mentored? So you said that right off the gate, and I'm like, oh, that's so important, because how we interact with one another and how we work together. The other thing that you about the children watching you, when my children went to public school, we had some friends come over, and all three of my children grew up in a two-parent household. But my girls brought home some girls, some friends that didn't have daddies in the household. And my husband noticed, he said to me one day, he said, I watched those little girls as we sat around the table and ate as a family. And I realized the ultimate responsibility that I had as a father to make sure that I was a good example to those children while they're sitting around my table, because that may be the only dinner table that they get to see.
Yeah.
And I remember it resonated with me because I didn't think about but it also opened the eyes for our entire family, my children, my husband and I, to realize everybody doesn't have the same circumstance that you do. And you may be thinking, oh, I've got this, we have a child with special needs and trying to navigate that. But there were children out there who didn't have daddy sitting around the table. Or the one little girl said to me, she said, every time I come to your house, everything's still in the same place. And I said, wow, what an opportunity for all of us to feed into children's lives. So the fact that you have the ability to interact with your children as well as all of those young folks that you are coming in touch with across your education opportunities. It's just amazing. And I'm just really encouraged by that, Dr. Monroe. That's great.
Thank
Um,
you.
what advice would you give to fathers who want to be engaged, both at home and in the community? And this is a big one. I mean, you could go on for probably a while here. So please take the driver's seat on this and share as much as you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, I think that it's important for fathers to know that there are so many opportunities to be engaged with your children, but with other people's children as well. And I think that you should really spend some time reflecting on where are you in your community? Who is your community? What opportunities exist? Whether it be something you can do in church,
Yeah.
if you're a faith based person, it could be something you do maybe in your community with the intramural leagues that happen. Many towns have rec leagues and intramural opportunities, cheerleading, football, basketball opportunities. There are schools that have opportunities for you to come in and volunteer your time to coach if you want, or maybe you want to go and read a book to children. Maybe you want to come talk about your careers. We still do career day experiences at our charter school. We had a wonderful career day experience where we saw so many men and fathers. I was so happy to see them come out, and the children really gravitated to them.
Yes.
Um, there are opportunities to serve as we wrap up the school year. We're getting ready for field day, for example. Fathers coming out and helping for that. There are field trip experiences, chaperone experiences. I can still remember all the opportunities where my children used to say, "Dad, can you come on a field trip?" I can't remember. I've done so many of them. I may have gone on one or two of the children,
Yeah.
and they may tell a different story, but I do remember going on at least a couple of those field trips with them, and I wish I had done more. But if those opportunities present themselves, I would say take advantage of them. A
Yes.
number of fathers that I know are involved in a number of different social organizations as well. And so, in those social organizations, we are out doing community service projects. I can remember when my son was small, taking him on a community service project when I first moved back to Connecticut. When the children were small, and I took him with me. We did some painting at a local business office complex here in Hartford. He was a small guy. We gave him a paintbrush, let him paint too. He couldn't mess anything up. But it was with one of the organizations that I am affiliated with. And this was a service opportunity. So he's alongside with me. So when you have opportunities to bring your children, boy or girl, bring them with you, let them learn with you, let them do with you, alongside with you. There's an opportunity for you to bond as well. There are opportunities to do things in the schools as well. Some of them have, still some schools still have fundraisers, right? And so, hey, let's show up, let's be there, let's be present. We have opportunities for some fathers to take leadership positions on our PTOs, our parent associations.
Yeah.
That's a rarity. I've seen it.
Yeah.
That is a rarity, and it's real cool to see some of the men step up, some of the fathers step up and take that leadership role. So I highlight and I salute those fathers that take those leadership roles in our schools and in our communities.
Wow, those are some great ideas. And as you were talking about them, it triggered memories that I had of dads coming into classes, of moms showing up, um, you know, hosting those parties or volunteering. And I love the idea of bring your child along with you in all possibilities throughout the community, throughout school, throughout work. I think that's fabulous. One of the things that I would love for you to talk about is your school, is the charter school. I and in that, talk to me about what it's been like, the differences that you've seen between the charter school and maybe just the regular schools that you were in, the traditional public schools. Maybe some differences that you've seen.
So as you so as you know, charter schools are part of the school choice fabric, right? Parents, children make choices to attend charter school or independent schools, traditional
Yeah.
schools. It's choice. right?
That's right.
I think you didn't ask me this, but I think choice is a great thing. I don't know if you have a question that's going to take me there, but I
No,
can
but
talk
I'm
about
glad you
that.
went
But
there.
if the question comes up, or if you want to take me further on that road, I'll go with you. But let me try to address your question as you asked it. So Jamoke Academy has been in existence for 27 years.
Great.
And I have been in place for approximately going on 12 years now in the leadership capacity, and I'm happy to be a part of this journey. Our school was founded by Thelma Ellis Dickerson, and her mission was to prepare children to successfully compete in the global marketplace, despite the social and economic challenges that children face. And I would say that we have these social and economic challenges in our schools and our homes. They existed then when she founded the school, and they still exist today. And it was very important for children and the children in our community, and for this community to understand that our children are going to be successful, and we're going to see to it despite the social and economic challenges that exist.
Yes.
Kids that look like me, we have had some that look like you. Majority of them look like me. They have to understand and know that they can and they will be successful. And you're going to have people that come to Jamoke Academy that work here that are going to love you and support you.
Yes.
Jamoke means where the child is loved. It's from the Yoruba tribe in West Africa,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
built around the whole concept that it takes a village to raise a child. And so, what we are saying is that we're going to wrap, and we are wrapping ourselves, our commitment around the children that come through our doors from this community, and we're going to love them to the best of our ability. We're going to give them all the supports that they need to be successful. As a charter school, compared to my experiences and from my experiences in traditional education, I would say that there's a high level of parent involvement,
Oh,
parent engagement, more so than any other traditional public school that I've worked in. And that's because families want to be here.
yes.
Families have chosen to be here. It's an interesting thing when you choose
Yes.
something, you're going to commit to it. There's
Yes.
a higher level of expectation of us as educators, and we
Yes.
have it, and I have it of the parents and of the educators that walk through our doors. There, you feel a different level of
Yes.
commitment.
Hmm.
I can say that from experience. I've
Yes.
been in this business 35 years. I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I think that you can look at some of the surface level differences. Yeah, we have school uniforms. There's a difference between a school uniform and a traditional school that has a uniform dress.
Yes.
When you have a school uniform, children act a certain way, they
They
feel
do.
a certain way. They're
Yes.
coming to school to get a job done. They know that their job is to get this education, to behave a certain way. There
Yep.
is an expectation for how I look, act, and conduct myself. Now, we do have some that are challenges like any other place, and they're children, and we're teaching them. But the
Yes.
vast majority understand that this is about business. Okay. And so there is a difference. We also have a funding difference as
Oh, yes.
well. Unfortunately, there are inequities in our funding. We do more with less resources, but we get the job done. And we would not exist if were not able to still compete. And in some cases, a number of cases, we excel or outperform in some areas.
Love
I
it.
would say more so than not in comparison to traditional public schools and our host districts. Um, we have folks here who have committed to working here. Any
Yes.
of us can go get a job in
That's
any other district, including myself, given the
mhm,
shortages in education.
right.
You make a commitment to be here because there's something here that you like, or there's something here that you are truly committed to deep down in here.
You got it.
That is the difference, and those are differences that I would highlight to you. And I can go on, but those are some of the ones that I would point on to you.
I love it
First.
though. I mean, the commitment piece is key. The choice, the fact that parents choose there, and what you mentioned about the buy-in of the choice. I have seen that. My children went to public school. I was a product of public education, and then it wasn't working out, and so we tried homeschool, a virtual charter school, and then ultimately it ended up my girls in a private school, and I started a program which I had to kind of be the one man band in, the director, the teacher, the all the things,
Yes.
and I got to see, and I had when we were running that program, and I was running an IEP meeting, and a public district had to come in, to run the IEP, and the director said to me, "How is it that you have 100% parent participation?" And I said, "Well, number one, I require it. And number two, this is a program of choice. And with choice comes responsibility,
Yes.
not just from me, the provider, not just from me, the director, and from my teachers, but also from the parents to run the show and say, this is what I want for my child. And here's where I'm going to meet you at the table." So I love to hear you say that with all your years of experience in all these different roles, because I believe, and I think you might share this with me or some form of it, that this is the solution. You put parents in the driver's seat, you collaborate together with educators, you provide different opportunities and let them choose what works for their student. And then everyone at the table rises to the occasion. You
Yeah,
know,
if I may add one additional
Please.
comment, and I should have said this, and
Okay.
your comment about putting parents in the driver's seat is very appropriate and a reminder to me that we have parents involved in the decision-making processes. We do have a parent association, but we also have, by design of our charter, parent involvement on our board of trustees or board of
So,
directors. And so, parents truly are your boss. All of them are not parents within the academy. I have
sure.
some that have been former parents in the academy, and but then the charter allows for us to have a certain percentage of parents on the board of directors as well. So that is a built-in mechanism
Huge.
that gives parents a voice from the association level, and then they in turn have a voice at the director level as well. And so I think that's very critical, and that is another underlying difference um, from my experiences compared to the traditional school leadership or governing bodies.
I love it. Well, Dr. Monroe, I could sit and talk to you all afternoon, and I'm so sorry that we don't have more time on today's
Wow.
episode, but I am so grateful that you took the time to come out and talk with us today to share the experiences of fatherhood, educator, administrator, all the things that you've done. Well commended. And
Thank
thank
you.
you. And we look forward to maybe having you back in the future to discuss more.
I would love to come back. Thank you for the incredible opportunity. And again, if fathers are watching this episode, I'd like to say happy Father's Day to them as well. And thank you to the moms on the mission for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe.